We're having a bit of audio issue in the studios. You know, in a live studio, anything can happen. But welcome again to the show. Pardon me, it's the Monday's edition of The Buzz, and we're here to keep it buzzing live. All right, Blossom, I was just asking, do you do the Christmas countdown the way I do too?
Of course, yes.
Oh,
Why
wow.
not? It's important.
All right. It's great to know I'm not the only one. Anyways, we are not alone on the table. Joining us, we have some of our Monday regulars here. Mr. Godi, the Great of Fosse, is here with us again this Monday. He's a renowned journalist, a brand analyst, and a politician. Good afternoon, Mr. Fosse. Thank you for joining us again.
Good afternoon, viewers.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
The last week was very hectic.
Yes, I know you are still trying to recover.
Yes, it was hectic, and I thank God that our brand conference was successful.
Wow.
It was on this show that we spoke about it. Lulu gave a very insightful paper, and I think I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to share it with all of us on the table, so that we can learn a few things about how Lagos can move forward, move from where it is today to the next level.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that, Mr. Dodi. All right, also joining us at the table this afternoon, we have a public relations expert, a businessman, an astute one at that, and also a social commentator, Mr. Peter Osangbe. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I had a very busy weekend as
yes,
well. From religious perspective, for Catholics, it was a feast of Corpus Christi yesterday, and we had to process with the Blessed Sacrament.
You know, I always like all those processions. Like I always say, I was raised a Catholic, so all of those festivals and feasts were a part of my upbringing.
Right.
Very exciting, I must say.
Yeah. Spiritually uplifting.
Yes, yes. And I miss all the novenas. Oh, wow.
So what happened?
Well,
marriage.
She got married.
Marriage changes a lot of things. Yeah, but once a Catholic, like they say, always a Catholic. So. All right. Well, we have two panelists on the program this afternoon. Akogungani, Kayode Balogun is always here on Mondays. Unfortunately, can't join us today. He's not back from the whole Afrima thing in Accra, Ghana, over the weekend. We hope he gets here safely in the course of the week. All right. Remember, the number to use on the program is 0802 836 8971. Someone accused me last week that you always say those numbers too fast. So I deliberately, I'm slow this morning. The number again is 0802 836 8971, and it's for SMS only. All right, we just go straight into the program, gentlemen. Of course, this last weekend trended extremely on social media, and it was not in a very good way, as our gallant men who are out there trying to bring the rest of us Nigerians security were attacked by Islamist militants called Boko Haram. Well, the cause of Nigeria's war against the Boko Haram has turned against the government itself, as local media is reporting that rampaging Boko Haram insurgents overran a Nigerian army battalion in Metele, Borno State. Since Sunday, it's been reported that at least over 100 soldiers have been killed by the insurgency group. Some Nigerian soldiers who were sent to fight in Guzamala local government area of Borno State lost their lives, and a lot of other soldiers have taken to social media to lament the substandard weapons given by their commanders and military authorities to fight the terrorists, hence the recent attacks and loss of military personnel. They want the federal government to take action against their commanders for misuse of funds given to them for purchase of weapons. Now the army has come out to say most of the reports on social media are mere propaganda, to make them look bad. Also, the presidency has reacted to this report, and consequently they've summoned the service chiefs and also dispatched the defense minister, Mansour Danali, to Chad Republic, where they say Boko Haram is waxing stronger in recent times. Well, I know a lot of people saw this video because there were thousands of shares of this video online over the weekend. But just in case you missed it, this is part of the clip.
Is it disturbing?
Part of the clip we can show. We can't show the other disturbing one. Yeah. We'll be back.
This is the thing. This is the thing. They're boy father. They're boy father. They're boy father. Federal government, please interfere. Interfere on us. These people are killing us too much. They say we are zombie. We don't know our rights. We don't know our rights. They say we are animals. Any other they give us, they will go. This one operation they call last road, they will finish all of them. Now we are 145 years. Federal government interfere us all this thing. Interfere us. Interfere. Interfere. We are millennial soldiers. Median soldiers. We are not Iyole. We are not any soldier. We are not 63 NA. We are not 79. We are millennial soldiers. Most of us are graduates here. If you like, stay. If you like, stay. Yeah, if you like, stay. If you like, you get after again. You get one out of that. Stay. This is another T12. This is another T12. See why they do T12. See, and this T12 is obsolete. You are doing General Shagari. They have this thing. It's not updated one. It's updated. It was 1983 that they do this from Slovakia. Now it's not the money that federal government giving you these people to be buying weapons. This is Shagari regime. Oscillated weapon. Federal government interfere on us. Interfere on us. All these things are not working. Once you fire two, that's all. You have the stoppages. Boko Haram will enter. Now these people they now came. All the location I'm going, I will see a parapet. Our self-defense. These people are plotting a useless barbed wire, applying mine because of us. It's a lie. It's a lie. This is the place that kill us all. This is the place that kill us all. All these weapons is not genuine. It's obsolete. It's a Shagari regime. They bought it. And not the money that the federal government gave them to do.
Welcome you back. The number to use will be on the screen shortly. Please, let's adhere to instructions. Use that number for SMS only. Don't call the number. All right, gentlemen, we've seen this video. There are a lot more other videos on social media, but we cannot bring that to national television. But above all, a lot of the army personnel are actually complaining about the condition of weapons they have to fight this war against Boko Haram, obsolete, substandard, outdated weapons are what they have. Also, they blame their superiors for misappropriation, of funds that should have been used to boost their arsenal. Anyways, let's talk about this issue. Since it broke over the weekend, what was your first reaction when you saw the videos online?
Well, I've been very busy last week. I rarely go to the online because of the program I was putting together for our association. I think I managed to, the moment I got your text yesterday, I managed to go to online and see those videos, and some I couldn't stand it. I couldn't just view them. I think my little girl ran to me to see what I was seeing on my phone. I have to shout her out. She can't see that kind of a thing. She can obviously see that. So I think, if you remember, from 2008 to 2010 to 2014 or 15 that Jonathan ruled, the problem we had was that the army couldn't purchase funds. They couldn't purchase weapons.
Yeah.
That the international community wasn't ready to sell ammunition to Nigerians because some very good Nigerians, quote unquote, those who claim to love us more than we love ourselves believe that if the US, the China, the Russians, and even South Africa sell some of these weapons to us, that government at that time will use it to fight a passive political opponent. A letter was written, and the international community adhered to it. Now, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari came in and promised to confront the terrorists headlong. To a certain level, he has tried. But I believe that during the Jonathan time, I think this killing was merely about civilians and the rest of it. Some selected areas were being bombed and the rest of it. But today you have seen some very gory killings going on. I mean, you can imagine, who would you send? Some of the soldiers in the north, in the south, and the southeast, and the south-south, you still want to redeploy them to that area. Some of them will simply say, sorry, I am no longer in the service. Let me go and look for something else to do. Because the family of those that are murdered, because I keep saying it, just imagine, because some of these deaths are a bit far away from us. They are Nigerian, yes. But because it doesn't have any blood relationship with you, and that's why you really do not feel the impact of the Boko Haram actions. Now, they ambushed entire soldiers. Let's say, maybe, let's be moderate here, the normal figure from the army, 44. Right? Just 44 soldiers at a time. It's not a natural disaster, earthquake, or a volcano, or an hurricane.
In one fell swoop.
In one fell swoop by a group.
A group we're supposed to have
now,
defeated.
you are saying that
according to the
a group that you have completely demoralized, because that's what decimated, whatever means that you have demoralized, you have demoralized them. So they don't have any motivation to fight any longer. Now, such group didn't just kill armless people. I'm not saying that killing armless people is right. They kill those who are equipped. Now, the video that we are just watching right now, the gentleman that kept shouting, though maybe he was doing it in a hurry so that he would not be caught. Okay, he was shouting. I'm talking about some of the weapons were bought during Shagari era. Obviously, some of the soldiers who were killed last week Thursday were not born as at that time. You can imagine that. Now, Mr. President recently bought some fighters jet that will be delivered in 2020. Now, we have an urgent problem in our hands. Couldn't we have gotten somewhere that could have given us those things more urgent, more frequent, or immediately than the US?
But since we're talking about weapons, I think April this year, President Muhammadu Buhari gave approval for the military to purchase weapons worth about $1 billion. So I'm wondering, have those weapons been purchased?
Where are those
or not?
Weapons? Which area of conflict? Which area that in Nigeria, in the Nigerian territory, that is being disturbed, that those weapons have been redeployed? Because I think the most urgent need that we need now is the Northeast. That's the most troubling area in Nigeria today.
All right.
And I think the government, instead of, I have also read the Army press release, trying to look out for scapegoats, those who share the video, those where the video emanated from, they're going to trace and get them. Another most important thing before Mr. Peter comes in is that, and I think some war against terrorism is not just all about weapons, it's about intelligence. If we have a very good intelligence gathering unit in the army, what happened wouldn't have happened. And also, army should also try as much as possible to purge itself, because some of the information that went round come through them. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I know intelligence can solve that problem.
Okay.
It can't.
All right, let's bring Mr. Osande into the discussion.
Thank you very much, Patience. I share some of the thoughts of Mr. Ofose. The point here for me is that what has happened, in the past 1 week, considering the slaughter of our military men, in Metele, is basically the consequence, if you like, of politicizing the military. since this administration, even before then, in the run-up to the 2015 general elections, attempts were made by the opposition to politicize the military and the fight against insurgency. Now, that same scenario is playing out here now, and we find ourselves in the same circumstance. Now, what I was reading online, and which is the sentiment, and that's, like I said, is the consequence of politicizing it, is that, oh, hang on, it is Southerners that are mostly killed. It has never happened in the Nigerian army before, where the army, the military is camaraderie, all right, it's friendship, it's oneness, it's a unit, irrespective of where you come from. So with the utterances of people like Lai Mohammed, with the lopsided appointments by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it has given this whole thing, giving impetus to these rumors that are going on that certain persons from certain sections of the country are the ones that are sent there deliberately. That ought not to ordinarily happen. That is not the Nigerian army that we know. That is not the military that people know all over the world. Now, he mentioned intelligence. Intelligence is key in every military operation. In fact, if you recall, the Americans pulled out at a time during the Jonathan administration. Why? Because they found out that the intelligence was, being compromised, and the people were not ready to work in that kind of circumstance. And we saw that, particularly when the Nigerian army personnel went to recover, the next day went to recover the bodies of their fallen soldiers. What happened? The Boko Haram people ambushed them. Why? Because they knew they were coming. So how come all these things are coming out? Now, if you listen to the audio of that army, that soldier that spoke, he was speaking in anger, frustration. He's irritated. He's not motivated again. He does not even have the desire to go and confront these people again. Now, see what is going to happen. The army are now going to go after who said that. Not how do we address the issues, very germane issues that he has addressed. Now, lastly, it's been a public relations disaster for Nigerian army, speaking from a public relations perspective. Their approach, their desire to take this away from public media is even their biggest undoing. As a Catholic, when you were growing up, you were attending catechism class. And one of my catechism teachers told us that the moment you stop praying, trying to emphasize the importance of prayers, that the moment you stop praying, the devil starts talking to you. In PR, the moment you stop communicating to your audience, that moment your audience begins to be spoken to by rumors. And then those rumors will now overshadow the main thing. Now, what am I talking about? What I'm talking about here is clear. That rather than what they do in other climes is that the military tells you that they have a challenge. However, until the families of the victims are informed, they cannot give you the details of the victims, of their personnel that are fallen. Whereas in the case of Nigeria, they are in denial that it didn't happen at all. Constantly denying. And then the press release written by the Army PRO is the most embarrassing press release I've seen in my life. He left the issue and was attacking that they will take up those who have. Excuse me. We are saying that we learned about the attack from international media. It ought not to be. So the Nigerian army, as it is now, have a challenge, and that's why some of us have said that maybe they may begin to, and that's why I like what Magu has done, the acting chairman of EFCC. He has taken a professional journalist, a media man, a PR person from outside the police and EFCC as his special assistant on media. So that is what the army should now do to be properly guided. Don't you get it? So that's my argument.
I think another part of this argument is that, in terms of communication, is that most times that in corporate environment, in government, what is there is that whatever you are giving to is what you are spoken about. All right, you don't have the authority on your own, and that's why we see. If you look at the presidency, some of the best journalists we ever had, the moment they get into as a SA media to the president, people that used to love them begin to hate them. Because they don't have the mind of their own. You can't speak what Mr. President says you shouldn't say. You can't because you want to keep your job. I was with Emeka Okpara the other day, and he was actually speaking at a public relation roundtable in Victoria Island, and he said something. I think Femi Adesina was there, and he said that if they want to give him this job that Femi is doing, he would not take it because his integrity will be on the line. That he actually gave us an example how a certain guy who used to love Femi was completely disparaging Femi reputation, making it look like it is his job. It is not his job. See, the moment we begin to allow, even in our corporate environment, the women will begin to allow professionals to do their jobs. The women will begin to allow PR people, communication specialists, to be a part of the board. That the highest decision you are taking is aware of it before you come out, because someone is there, a mole is there that's going to take those things out. It's there. So at the end of the day, how did the international body get to know an ambush when they were not on that trail? Someone informed them. So at the end of the day, I think the military and the government should come together, and actually thought that this kind of thing that happened, that Mr. President has summoned the army chiefs and the rest of them, and the earth will roll. Up to today, those guys are still sitting on their job.
They won't resign.
Those guys are still sitting on their job. In corporate organization, madam, you don't do anything close to this. You are gone. Those guys are still there. They come out to give you excuses. Nigerian army do not need an army university when we are in crisis. You don't even plant an army university in a crisis environment because we have an NDA.
I get you. I get you. You want to say something, Klaus?
Yeah, I want to say something because it's actually very funny when they said that when I heard that guy talking about the fact that the equipment there are quite old. And sincerely, it's one of the things we really need to put into consideration.
And I don't think Blossom was born in 1982.
I don't think so. No way. We need to put it into consideration because you can't send people into a war zone and don't equip them. Yes. What do you want them to go do there? It's just as though as sending them to their early graves. Yeah. So I really think the president should start really doing something about it.
But before he does anything, he must rejig.
Those guys must go.
He must inspire confidence in our military men fighting, and he must inspire confidence in the public. The truth of the matter now is that he must rejig it. And if he refuses to rejig it, I was just thinking to myself this morning, I was like, how will it sound like if Buratai just comes out to say, gentlemen, this cannot happen under my watch, I apologize. I think I've told Mr. President I want to go. I just imagine how that would sound, how that would be welcome.
I think that would be
through in the tower.
Mr. Peter,
imagination.
Like
you and I know.
It's not an imagination because we have had a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria who threw in the tower.
Well,
just recently and walked away. And we also know that the same allegations that made that woman quit, some people in this administration are suffering it, and they are sit tight on their seats.
Yeah.
All right, but whilst we're talking about what the president is doing or not doing, I want to ask a question about him sending the defense minister to Chad Republic. How does that help in this situation?
No, ordinarily it should. You know, we have they are our neighbors, and we have military pact with them. We share intelligence and all that. But you see, when it happened in 2014. And Jonathan was going there to negotiate and discuss and all that. El-Rufai, now a governor, was mocking and was saying, what are you going to do with Chad to beg them? So, you see, the chicken has come home to roost. Do you get? Unfortunately, it is our military men that are suffering this. Yeah. But to answer your question rightly, that's a good step in the right direction. But in addition to that, we expect him to do other things like, rejigging this.
Mr. Peter, I don't really think it's a good step because before now, we know our common neighbors. Niger, Cameroon, Chad. Those are our common neighbors. Now, where this problem continuously surfaces, resurfaces, and the rest of it. And I know that by now, the Minister of Defense should have attaché in those countries.
Yeah, but there are limitations. But in addition to that as well,
you should have an attaché in those environments where you can always communicate and share intelligence. And I think at this point, Nigerian army should begin to consider intelligence very, very, very much important than even the weapon.
Okay.
But lastly, before you go to something else, the point is, and this is one of the things that actually been discussed on social media, and people are now beginning to question very seriously what the benefit of this re-radicalization of Boko Haram suspects. You know, some of them have been arrested, captured, and all that.
And some of them sent home.
Ordinarily, some persons will say, try them, send them to jail to pay for what they have done. But what government has done, where maybe part of peace pact, is to re-radicalize them. After re-radicalizing them, you throw them back to the society again. Now, the same person that had the mind to do that, I question how 2 months or 3 months of re-radicalization can actually change the mindset of such a person.
I get what you mean. All right, let's look at feedbacks from viewers on this issue. This one says, how come Boko Haram got army uniforms? Secondly, what happened to all the money that is allocated to defense? Same old story. And someone will claim they have eradicated Boko Haram. All right, this other one says, good day, my name is Victor. Please, why is it that Boko Haram will defeat a huge amount of Nigerian army? Is it that they don't have good weapons? This other one says, I don't think this is not the first time.
No, they said what's his name? The chief of army staff said it was a friendly. They thought they were a friendly army, and then they kind of lower their arms, the guards rather. And then that was how they.
All right, Lekon from Ikeja says, I don't think this government values the lives of our soldiers. And where is Amnesty International? What has been their comment over the killings? This other one says, what has happened is not unexpected. The problem is not that monies are not voted for the purchase of modern fighting weapons. The issue is that obsolete weapons are what were bought. The soldiers are not paid and are not motivated. The army authorities are chasing shadows and making Nigerians angry by looking for who shared the video. It's crazy. Esama Ihaza from Benin City sent that one in. All right, this other one from Phil Arabame says, it is disheartening and ludicrous for military to be playing the ostrich. They said Boko Haram has been decimated and they could still overrun a whole battalion. The security chiefs should be shown the exit door this minute. This other one says, the nation needs to do something about this and not to attack those who shared the video. This other one is suggesting, why not introduce whistleblower policy to those local people to motivate intelligence? Well, that's a thought. I am Hakim. Well done, guys. You're doing a really great job there. If I'm to add to what you're discussing, I would say a lot, because I was on joint task force in Maiduguri for a year. With my experience, I tell you the killing of our army boys is due to the greed of our leaders. I wonder if they can change. Oyekachi from Togo says, okay, Oyekachi, I'm not going to read your text. Why? Because you cannot just accuse the federal government without having evidence, and I cannot, I can't say all of what you're saying. Rabi from Adamawa says, in fact, the government should change strategy. No more telling the public about Boko Haram. Work not propaganda. As they tell the public, they get more to dismantle our army. Really, this is a very unfortunate situation. Since last week, all I can think about is, so what happens to the families left behind by over 100 soldiers that just been slaughtered in one fell swoop? What happens to the wives, the children, that they left behind?
I think people should be, there's what
unfortunate.
Emeka Akwara said again, I will refer to him, called consequence management. You see, people should be able to take responsibility for their actions. the moment you begin to do that, that's why a lot of people begin to think that body, shout, talk. For me, I'm afraid of failure. Anything failure, I don't want to touch it with the longest spoon in the world. And I will do everything to be a success.
Well, that's you, Mr. Godu. Well, we'll have to move on to the next topic. Our time is fast running. Blossom.
And it says the building collapsed in River State. A 7-story building under construction has collapsed in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. The building, which collapsed around 7 p.m., had several persons suspected to be workers trapped under the rubble. Now, one person was on Saturday brought out dead from the rubble, and also 21 persons were rescued, with one of them badly injured. However, the rescue operators believe that more bodies are still buried under the building, of course, and efforts are currently on to clear it, as voices have been heard from beneath the collapsed building. Details of the project, including the owner and what the structure was meant to serve, is yet to be ascertained.
Yet another unfortunate.
These are the things that gets me
over
angry.
the weekend. All right, we have a clip we need to show first before we come and talk. Let's quickly go see that clip. We'll be right back.
It was a Black Friday for Rivers State when this building caved in on its occupants, most of whom were workers on site. They had just rounded off the day's work when the incident occurred. Some persons were lucky to escape unhurt, while most of those rescued sustained various degrees of injuries.
All of a sudden, what I hear from up was scope. So the building began to come from up, not from ground, from the up. And so the thing, as with the dodge, one way, so I got an injury. I don't know, so many people were under, some people were outside too. So I don't know what will be the case, but I thank God that somebody took me to hospital. I'm just coming back from hospital without any money.
The actual number of persons rescued so far remains unclear, but different emergency workers put the figure at between 30 to 40 persons rescued alive and between 1 to 3 fatalities.
As at last night, we had 9 cases brought out alive, 2 cases suspected to be dead, and this morning so far we have recorded about 25 cases brought out alive.
That was around 11 a.m. on Saturday. Rescue efforts here are being carried out by a joint team of the Nigerian Police, National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA), Red Cross, Civil Defense Corps, and the Federal Road Safety Corps (FRSC).
Other rescue teams are also with us here, with other sister agencies, trying to see another volunteers, trying to see what we can do to bring out those who are trapped there, because as at now, we are still hearing voices there. Some of them are making calls that they are there.
But overseeing the entire operation is the Rivers State Ministry of Special Duties.
33 persons have been rescued, and the casualty is 3. But I want to commend the efforts of the Executive Governor of Rivers State, who immediately told us to go and begin to see how quick and fast we can rescue those that were in the building.
As a government, necessary measures will be taken. The Rivers State government is going to discipline all those who are involved, directly or indirectly, to the building collapse. From every step taken to this level, the state government will carry out proper investigation and ensure that those who are culpable will be brought to justice.
Despite the number of persons rescued so far, some onlookers still express some reservations about the progress being made.
Not much work is going on there. I don't see any work that is going on there, my friend. Here you can see, there's nothing that is going on.
People are dying. The more they are wasting time, the more people are dying. We don't have government in this Nigeria.
Please, I don't know. If government can put their last strength here, it will be appreciated.
As at this time, officials are unable to say when search and rescue efforts would be.
Welcome back. All right, yes, this is another very unfortunate incident that happened in the course of the weekend. And, well, the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has ordered the arrest of the owner of that building and the contractor, working on the collapsed building. First of all, this is a building that is still under construction. Well, let's start with you, Mr. Osangbe.
Yeah, basically, is a cause for concern. This is not the first time we're having, collapsed building. Worst case, while on construction. I recall that there was this time that there was this building collapse in one church near Ejibo, and
in a cartoon.
Yes, ridiculously, the owner of the property, the pastor, was saying that because an aeroplane flew past and that shook the building and it collapsed. Nonsense. Point is that if you use substandard material, that is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
A lot of people are to be blamed in this. One, first person is the owner of the building. Second person, which for me has professional misconduct to be charged, is the contractor and the site engineer. And this is where the Nigerian Society of Engineers must now come in, because their industry, as far as I'm concerned, they have a challenge. They do not have a way of monitoring some of these things. And then, of course, in Lagos, I don't know what they do in Rivers, but in Lagos, the Ministry of, is it Ministry of Works or Ministry of Lands or something, they as you're building, at each particular stage, they send their staff to come and check to see whether it's following the specifications. Then the Standard Organization of Nigeria have a bigger role to play. I mean, a blame to share here. Why? Because of substandard materials. If you see, we're even talking about that the building collapsed. What about when the buildings burned down due to electrical problems as a result of poor quality of materials which have been imported to this country, and to which Standard Organizations of Nigeria have compromised, and then those kind of things are brought in. So but the point here is that all these people, if we finish this and it will happen again, until we address the main issues, that is deciding to say, hang on, enough is enough. I was just sharing with Blossom a little while ago to say, look, maybe we have to become the policemen of ourselves, in the sense that when we see something wrong going on, then we should be able to say, no, that's wrong. I was walking somewhere on Allen one day. They were doing some construction work, and I saw these people carrying the already mixed cement and all that. But you could see, really, if they mix properly, you will see the quality of cement. The cement will be more than ordinarily the sand. But in this case, you could see the sharp sand. And I was like, no, more of the sand. I was like, no, this is not really what it is. But what we should be doing is to actually draw public attention of the authorities concerned, to say, see what is going on. It is actually wrong.
You know, what I find disheartening about the story is the fact that it is when things like this happen, when the building has collapsed, when lives have been lost, that's when, all of the discrepancies that have gone into putting the building in place now comes out. First of all, I heard this building is not even supposed to be where it is being built.
So, approval.
So you wonder, who approved for this building to be put there in the first place? We do have institutions who are supposed to take care of these things, don't we?
I think someone somewhere will say, God loves to blame government. I don't really love to blame government. I always like to point out some of the inadequacies and how some of these inadequacies can be addressed. First and foremost, in sharp contrary to what Peter said, I will not blame the contractor. I will not blame the owner.
Really?
First and foremost. I think in that hierarchy.
Let's know why.
In that hierarchy, I will blame first the ministry in charge of building in Rivers State. That's number one. Because when you look at some of these things, somebody must give an approval. When Blossom was reading that news night, he said that they don't even know what the property will be used for. Now, if you must build First and foremost,
of all, there has to be.
You must know what that building is going to be used for. A journalist that is doing his job will go first to the ministry and say, please let me see the document for this stuff. And you know that this building was meant for hospital. It was meant for a shopping plaza. It was meant for whatever they want to use it for. Right? And now, somebody says that that building is supposed not to be there. So how come it is there? At what stage did it cave in? At what stage of when they were building it, did it now cave in? Now, if it cave in, what happened? Another issue that we also need to address is that, look, some life are underneath that rumbles. Now, we have a poor emergency services in this country. And governor himself should take that blame.
You know, rescue is not easy. You know, even in other climes, it takes time. It takes time to rescue. The question is, do they really have the equipment?
That is what we are saying.
You know, to rescue.
And when you see that,
it's on that basis that they now say that they're hearing voices. Yes. So they are not using their ears.
What did you
They are using, equipment to check, body movements, vibrations and all that. Yeah. So that basically
what I'm saying is that you saw the video there, and someone was shouting from the background that we don't have a government in this country. Yeah, because they are those who are on the ground, seeing what the rescue staffs are doing. Are they doing enough to get those guys rescued?
My worry now, take for instance, you know you're supposed to eat, and then you don't eat, you starve yourself to die. And somebody now says, we don't have a government in this country. Excuse me. Now, no, it's important. Now, listen to it. Responsibilities have been given. A contractor has come. A supposedly certified engineer has come. It's professional misconduct. That kind of person's license to practice as a structural engineer should be withdrawn. Don't you understand? But I thought that by now, the agency in terms of Nigerian Society of Engineers or the ministry will be coming out to say these are possible consequences once we are investigating, once we identify that poor quality materials were used, that standards were compromised, that we will do A, B, C. But they are not. No, not government.
What happened?
Not government. Government is not standard organization of Nigeria. I mean, there is not a Nigerian Society of Engineers. It's not government.
Peter, each time we have a plane crashed in this country, do you blame the owner of the plane? Or do you blame the regulators? I'm coming, sir.
Yeah, you blame regulators.
Please, I am coming, sir. Because some of these things, look, it could happen. Some of these things are bound to happen. Even in the UK, in the US that we always cite as an example, if government do not put their feet down and do their job, they are also corrupt individuals in this country. They have the tendency to cut corners. And because government will stop you from going forward with that thing to cause any tragedy, that's why you don't hear some of these things happen. Now, have you walked around Lagos, on some of the fences in this Lagos, you see a red mark, X. Have you walked around?
Yes.
Now, show me one country that you see that. When they were building those fences, where were the regulators? That's my question. Please, let's go to the traders' money.
Wow. That seems to be a very interesting one for you. All right, meanwhile, let's see how viewers reacted to this story. Omoba JP says building collapse would always continue, especially when quacks are used instead of professionals. Owners pay their way through and cut corners with agencies. This other one says, this is to alert the non-proactive government to be proactive. Mr. Malwa sent that one in. Okay, all right, more of the messages are still on the Boko Haram attack on the Nigerian army. Okay, our time is almost up. The trader money thing by the government. All right, testing fillers on social media. A lot of people seem to see it as a good governance gesture, while some seem to see it as an indirect way of the government buying votes.
Let's hear Ofose. He's excited about
10 seconds, Mr. Ofose.
I think
10 seconds.
Yes, Peter said we have not been discussing some developmental stuff on this show, and I pointed that to him. It's a fantastic initiative. The only thing I found out is that our exalted office, the vice president office, is the one going from market to market to do all of these things, when we have more serious issue at hand to address. And I think we have an essay to that traders money stuff. right? And I think it's a good one. But for me, 10,000 naira, some people are trying to justify 10,000 naira as a way of saying it could help someone that is selling pepper. It could help. Look, let me tell you, some pepper sellers in this country are richer than you. Go to those big markets. Go to, what is it called, this market? Mile 2. Is it Mile 12? Go to Mile 12. Those who sell tomato. And I can tell you that when you take 1,000 naira out of 10,000 naira, it's gone.
Okay, Mr. Osangbi.
My worry, so that we don't waste time, time is gone. My worry is the timing. This government has spent 3.5 years. If this came in the first year, in the second year,
but they could tell you they are working on it.
Working on it. When you were coming in, what were you thinking about? So it is the timing, it is the methodology of deploying it. That is my concern.
Don't forget,
they
didn't meet money in the coffers.
Yeah, like he pointed out. You know, the office of the vice president going market to market is a campaign tool as far as I'm concerned. Wow. They are campaigning and they are buying votes with 10,000 naira, and it is shameful. If anybody is not saying it is shameful, I'm ashamed of that person.
Wow. Okay, that's on the trader money story.
Okay, yeah.
I wish we had more time to go on about that. All right, this one says, good morning, Masa. I'm a builder by profession. I think the structure was compromised with substandard materials.
Exactly.
Clients don't want to spend money. That's why before I execute a project, the client must sign that he gave me a particular sum of money. Clients always complain they don't have money, so it's not our fault. Why don't you reject the project if you know it's going to result to a problem? All right, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming through on the program today. Mr. Peter Osangbi.
Thank you.
Mr. Godio Fosse, thank you so much.
Salute.
All right, thank you, Blossom.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the
All right,
program.
thank you, viewers. Tomorrow at 12, do join us again. Have yourself a beautiful day.